I'm Debi Peverill, and you're listening to a post about pricing and profitability. And today what I'm talking about is scheduling. Scheduling is very important for people who work for themselves. You have to be very cautious about taking on more work than you can do, because if you ruin your reputation because you don't get work done, you will eventually not have as successful a business as you would have if you honored your commitments. So there has to be some things in your business around scheduling and making commitments and documenting the work you have to do in order for you to figure out whether or in fact you're taking on too much work. So let me tell you the worst story in my experience about a new business owner who underestimated how long it would take to do things and destroyed their business in probably three months. So this lady was a seamstress, very good seamstress, not a good business owner. When she opened up her seamstress business and made it known that she would make prom dresses, there was very strong demand for these prom dresses. And she took on all of the work that came her way. Anybody who asked her, she said, yes, we will do your prom dress. And she also, you think about an earlier post, she wasn't charging very much for the prom dresses, so she needed to do more work because in order to make money, you have to have sales, and she was pricing each one a little, probably too low for her to make a bunch of money on it. So what happened, of course, was that she had more work to do than she could do, and she didn't figure that out. 2 weeks before the local high school is having their prom, she's got 30 dresses that aren't ready, 2 weeks out. And now she's spending time on the phone reassuring both the girls that are going to wear the dresses and their parents that it's going to be fine, they're going to get it all done, everything's going to be okay. So the time that she's spending reassuring people is time she's not sewing, and of course she gets further behind. So come prom day, there were more than a dozen disappointed girls that they came the last moment to pick up their prom dresses and they weren't ready. And if you have any experience with teenagers or teenage girls, their lives were clearly ruined and they knew who did it. And they also had parents who were not pleased with how this went. So this poor woman wasn't able to run her business in this area anymore because nobody would ever trust her to get the work done. And to me, it was a fairly simple thing that could have been fixed. If we had figured out how long it took to make a dress on average, how many hours there were till prom, and we had done the math, we would have figured out that we're going to need more help, or we're not going to make it, or we could stop taking on new projects because it wasn't going to happen. I've got various other stories like this, people that are trying to do two things at once. They start two jobs, and they do one in the morning, one in the afternoon, trying to convince the client that they're working on their stuff full time, when in fact they're actually not working on their stuff full time because they've taken on too much work. So you need to document the commitments you make. How do you keep track of what you've agreed to do? I have talked to contractors, this is September 22, who are already booked all the way through 23. So they know that. They have figured it out. They have a way of figuring out how long it takes to do certain work. They know how much work they have. They know that they can't take anything on. That's very clever, because that way you don't get in trouble with people telling them you're going to be able to get to them and then you don't. So what system are you going to use to keep track of everything you've agreed to do? Another really important thing is the scheduling. If you've got these commitments, when are you going to do it? When will you be finished one job? When will you start another one? And, in my accounting business, we do a lot of math around this kind of thing, because every year, of course, there's tax season. Everything has to be done by April 30th, and there's only so many hours in the day from when we start getting information mid-March to the end of April to get it done. So we have a cutoff. If your information is not in our office by the 15th of April, most years, then we make no promises about whether we're going to get it done or not. And this has saved us because, of course, we've messed it up in the past where people kept dropping stuff off and no one was saying to them, we're not going to get that done. You can't bring it in here on the 28th and expect us to get it done by the 30th because we already have all these people ahead of you. So the schedule is important. When do you stop taking on more work? Because you've looked to see when, how long it's going to take to do the work that you have and when will you be done with that and you can start something new. The other thing is, how much do you want to work? I talk to business owners frequently who tell me they're working, 5 days a week, 12-hour days, or they're working 7 days a week, 10-hour days. And although they love the work, they've taken on more than they probably should. Families aren't always happy when that happens. And, you can get burnt out to the point where you don't want to run your own business. And, one of the things that I've said forever is if you're running your own business and you have a job you don't like, well, then it's entirely possible that you're a fool, because you could have got a job you don't like almost anywhere. So you want to figure out what is the ideal amount for you to work. Make sure that you're scheduling your work in a way that you're not going to have to work more hours every week than you really want to most of the time. And that way you're going to have a more successful, profitable business. Because what will happen if you don't get work done for people is it's going to ruin your reputation. Happy clients tell a couple of people perhaps how happy they were, but unhappy clients will tell everyone, and they can amplify their unhappiness on social media. So letting people down is a bad way to want to be profitable. So last thing, figure out how much you want to work, make the schedule so you're only working that amount.